12:04 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. Welcome into the Wednesday edition of Helping Seniors of Brevard. I'm John Harper. Let's get the show underway for this Wednesday with our great panel of guests. But right now, our host and executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard is here, Kerry Fink. And good afternoon to you, Kerry, on this the last Wednesday of the new year, of the old year.
Yes, and thank you, John Harper. And it is hard to believe that we are actually at the end of 2021, and many would say that could be a good thing.
Everybody said that about 2020.
Well, yeah. So it's good that we're optimistic heading into 2022, I think. And so, did you have a good Christmas, John?
It was delightful.
Good. And we're going to go around the horn here with everybody in the studio. So excited to welcome you to today, lunchtime, on the Helping Seniors radio show. We gather every Wednesday, 12 noon, right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF. And a hello also to the listeners who tune in online at WEJF.net. And not to forget those who end up catching this as a podcast, following up later, because we make all of the Helping Seniors radio shows, TV shows, everything we do like that is all available on demand. We have a YouTube channel at Helping Seniors of Brevard. We have a Facebook, they call it Facebook Watch, the little part of Facebook that you go in and you watch videos. So we're there represented as Helping Seniors of Brevard. And you can also search these things out on the Helping Seniors website, which is helpingseniors.brevard.org. But it is our fun custom every Wednesday to gather for lunchtime here at the radio station. So excited to introduce our guests for this week, our final edition of 2021, as we go into 2022. And so we are so fortunate to have in the studio today our operations director, which I love to do the big buildup because it's so good. 33 years as a registered nurse experience behind her. She ran one of the largest and most beneficial, I would say, home health agencies here in Brevard County for many years. She has served on the Helping Seniors Board of Directors since its inception. She helped Joe Steckler, our president and founder, back in his Brevard Alzheimer's days when he was busy constructing the Joe's Clubs and all of that. And she was so kind and gracious to join us. Literally, 1st of November, she said, I'd love to do this. I believe in what seniors need to help with, and believe in this organization and want to be part of it. And so she was kind enough to join us as operations director, 1st of November. I am speaking about Nancy Deardorff. How are you?
Good afternoon, Kerry. I'm well.
Well, good. And you had a good Christmas as well.
I had a wonderful Christmas. And you?
No, it was fantastic because we found out we're going to be grandparents.
Oh, congratulations.
So our son, Seth, and his wife, Erin, they are expecting, so end of June, June 30th is the due date. So we already decided we're going to celebrate Christmas in July because that's like baby gifts and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So that was our big news. And also in the studio today with us, a longtime Helping Seniors friend. He is an expert at all things holistic health. He operates here locally, the Holistic Health Center. And also you have worked with the College of Natural Health. And speaking of Dr. Kevin Kilday, how are you? And how was your Christmas?
My Christmas was great. Just stayed local and, had family over. And we also have an annual Christmas breakfast for family and friends. And that was very successful with about 15 people there.
Well, this is radio, not TV, but you look very relaxed and refreshed, and so it looks like it was well with you.
Oh yes, it was. This time, this slow down time is nice right now. With all the hectic shopping before Christmas and everything. So it's I'm just enjoying this week.
Yeah, I saw a little thing out on Facebook that somebody was joking around. They say, it's that week where you can't figure out if it's a weekend, if it's a Monday, it's a Tuesday, because everybody's just in the middle of all the holiday stuff. Because I think for most people, Monday was actually like the officially recognized day away from work since Christmas fell on a Saturday. And I imagine it's probably going to do more of the same as we get into New Year's. But looking ahead to the New Year's and what we wanted to talk about, actually on the radio today, you have an article that's coming out, and I think it kind of will help us set the tone for where we're going. But your article for the January edition of the Helping Seniors newsletter, which is published inside the center section of Senior Scene magazine, there's something like 14,000 copies that come out on the first of every month. John Fredrickson, the publisher, he puts them in about 500 different locations around the county. If you can't get one physically, you can always read it online because we make them available on the Helping Seniors website. But your article coming up is called A New You, Living the Holistic Lifestyle for 2020.
For 2022.
2022. Yeah, I guess I have, I did that several times, and my wife goes, you must be having this blank out about 2020, the year of COVID or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're all trying to forget 2021.
Yeah.
The challenges with that. Yes, it's an article just about a holistic lifestyle. Just taking care of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And the article just has a lot of tips on there. How to do that. And just to take it slow. Because everybody makes New Year's resolutions and things like that. And the idea is just to pace yourself.
Yeah,
and make gradual changes.
We're going to go deeper into that because if you will recall, if you're kind of a faithful follower of the Helping Seniors radio programs, all throughout COVID, Dr. Kevin Kilday would come in and join us with some tips and some suggestions and things, both how to stay healthy through it. Because, think about it. It's been almost a 2-year journey through COVID land. And every time we think they've got it finally whipped, then they say, but there's this thing called Omicron. And here we go again. And, I know the number one thing is everybody go get vaccinated if you can, because apparently that's what helps make the minimization. Even if you get it, it helps minimize the results of it. And so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about looking ahead to 2022, including talking with Dr. Kevin Kilday. But I kind of want to jump because I'm so excited that the January issue of the Senior Scene magazine is coming out because it really represents our step. I'm talking about Helping Seniors of Brevard. We're a Florida local to Brevard, 100% local 501c3, which is a fancy word for nonprofit. It means that we are here to serve you, and we have been doing that. We're now going into our 11th year of providing the county senior information helpline. That's that free call to 321-473-7770 that more than 4,000 families have been helped with since Joe Steckler, our president and founder, established this organization all those years back. But one of the things that we have talked about since the get-go, and Nancy, I'm going to ask you to jump right in on this, is Joe has always talked about this thing called an aging plan. And I remember first meeting Joe, I thought, he just means a retirement plan. But we quickly learned that there's a whole lot more to it than just like the financial part of the whole thing.
Absolutely. An aging plan, and you'll read it in our Helping Seniors newsletter. An aging plan is much like a hurricane plan, and we all need to have one. And I think the reason that people don't have one is multifaceted. One is many people don't want to talk about mortality. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know my dear brother-in-law who's passed on was one of them. Just didn't want to talk about wills, trust, estates, future plans. The other reason is people feel good at the moment, and they don't think they need an aging plan.
Right.
And the other reason, in addition to feeling good, people have a sense of, I'm guilty of it, I think all of us are, depending on what subject, of, it won't happen to me. I'm healthy, I'm younger, I'm a very young 70-year-old, I'm a very young 50-year-old, I'm a very young 60-year-old, or whatnot. But life comes at you.
Oh, yeah.
Life happens, and things can change in an instant, just like a hurricane hurricane plan that you enact every year that you hope you don't have to use.
Yeah.
You put a lot of work into it. You go get the groceries, you load up on your prescription medications, water, you secure your home. It's a lot of work. And what you're hoping is that work that you did doesn't matter because the hurricane won't strike. That's what you hope for.
Sure.
So an aging plan is much like a hurricane plan, much like insurance. It's planned now for what could happen later. You'll see in the January article coming up that I wrote, the ongoing article called "Have You Thought About This?" I talked about a couple who may or may not have their mortgage paid off, but they're dependent on both Social Securities. What happens if somebody passes away and then the remaining living spouse has to suddenly depend on literally one half of the income they used to have? Could they afford to continue to live the lifestyle? This is just one aspect of an aging plan, and there are many more.
You know, as you're talking about that and using that hurricane analogy, because living in Florida, that's one of the first things you get accustomed to is when hurricane season is around the corner. You start seeing all these messages about, do you have water? Do you have your flashlight batteries? Are you going to get a generator? Do you have stuff to protect your house? Are you going to leave the area if you're in a low-lying area? And I was thinking about this. You guys, since we're here in Florida, you remember the story about the Flagler Railway, the one that actually went down to Key West. And so there was that famous hurricane that kind of blew the train off the tracks, and that was kind of the end of the railway. And, other people who may remember, like the storm that devastated Galveston in the early 1900s, those people, I find myself putting myself in that moment. Because you just saw clouds on the horizon. You had no idea this big hurricane was bearing down on you. Now, today, when we go into 2022, let's be honest, if you get stuck in a hurricane, it's only because you didn't pay attention to the warnings. And that's why they're so adamant about teaching us you got to have a plan. Know where you are, know if you're in a flood zone, know all these different things. And Nancy, that's what you're talking about, right? Because we know the things that could happen to us as we get older. We probably don't find it appealing to think about them a lot, but many of us have experiences within our own family of people aging, and that should give us a clue that stuff happens.
Absolutely. One example that I've seen a lot over my nursing career in home health is the example of an able-bodied spouse taking care of a demented spouse, somebody with dementia, Alzheimer's. And the able-bodied spouse, who the dementia person depends on 100%, ends up in the hospital for whatever reason. What happens to the person with dementia that's stuck at home, that really shouldn't be alone, who's watching them, who's feeding them? And I've seen that over and over again. So we always have to have an emergency plan, quote unquote, an aging plan, a what if plan for when things like this happens.
And that's also, I was thinking about this. We had a call, I think it was early in this year, that it was a 60. This really makes you shift how you think about aging, right? Because this lady was 68, 69, and she was going into the hospital for a procedure that they needed to do on her. And the reason she was calling our Helping Seniors helpline is she was the caregiver for her mother, who was 92. And now mom was going to be home alone at 92 and needed to figure out how to handle it. Now, fortunately, this was a person who was smart enough to think, I got to get some help in here. But think about how that stuff could just ride up over us if we're not thinking ahead.
Yeah, it can change in an instant. So it's not always planned surgery. You don't always have time to plan. It could be someone fell and broke a hip. And it might not even be a long-term hospitalization. It might be 2 or 3 days. But the point is, what happens to the person they're caring for?
Yeah, and then another aspect, we've been very blessed. Joe has assembled some of the best businesses and people who get behind the work of helping seniors over the years, and a logical category of those, some of the best and brightest elder law attorneys have partnered up on the Helping Seniors organization. I'm thinking every time I sit down with one of them, whether it would be Bill Johnson who's a board certified elder law attorney, or Ruth Rhodes, who actually sits on our board, she's Rhodes Law PA, or even Amy Van Fossen, who is also another excellent elder law attorney. Every time I sit down with anyone or any of their staff, they say, Kerry, I can't tell you how often we have to tell a family, I wish I'd met you 30 days before, because some medical incident struck, and there was, somebody's in the hospital, they're non-responsive, and now the problems begin because somebody else is having to try to step in and manage and figure out what's going on in that medical situation, and also the financial situation, because just because somebody went to the hospital doesn't mean the mortgage payment stopped, Florida Power still wants to be paid, all those different, somebody has to manage all that. And I've heard it from every single one of them, that sometimes they're only left with a guardianship route because nobody did pre-planning. And so what might have been a very inexpensive pre-planning kind of situation becomes a minimum of a $10,000 guardianship. And I think that's what Joe has been after with us talking about this aging plan since day one. So together, we've all agreed that this is our theme for 2022, and we're kind of putting maybe a lighthearted face on it, but because we want it to not be intimidating. But we've kind of nicknamed this year, this is the year for getting your ducks in a row.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I've lived it. I had two family members, my sister and brother-in-law, namely, who kind of crashed and burned simultaneously, and I had to kick into action. And I thank God every day that I am able-bodied and able-minded to be able to have kicked in and take care of them. But this happens all the time with couples who have no children, either no children or no children locally or no children willing. And so I lived it. I've navigated this, and I was able to get some things in place with my knowledge and background in nursing, working with Joe for so many years.
Right.
But it really should have been done sooner, and nobody expects it. But my message to people is expect the unexpected. Don't be afraid of it, but prepare for it, much like you would a hurricane. I can't stress it enough.
Dr. Kevin Kilday, that's Nancy Deardorff, who is our operations director with Helping Seniors, and we're having this conversation today about getting your ducks in a row. It's like basically planning ahead. And I always think whenever I sit down with you, Dr. Kevin Kilday, because you're holistic health, while you do have protocols, you'll sit down and work with somebody who may have a cancer diagnosis, or particularly you have an expertise in addiction recoveries, and also pain relief. But isn't a large part of the whole holistic approach, you're actually trying to get people to think a couple of steps ahead and prevent these things before you run into them?
Yes, exactly. A holistic, lifestyle is about prevention. About eating right and exercising if you can, and just taking care of yourself. I mean, I'm even getting an education too with this conversation, because I've been putting off putting together an aging plan. Also the wills and things like that. Because I feel good, so I guess I'm in denial. That I just don't want to see that day come. But aging plan, is a good idea, and getting your ducks in a row. I mean, that's a good. That's a good term for 2022, is getting your ducks in a row. If it's an aging plan or a holistic lifestyle or whatever it may be, just improving your life. That's a good term, getting your ducks in a row.
So many of us, we all get to the end of the year, and it's usually a moment when we reflect backwards and go, well, we did this well, but we kind of fell short over here. And that's really probably how we come up with our list of New Year's resolutions, the things we want to do better. And most of us are really good. Like the first week, we're hard charging for that. Right. And then after that, we kind of back off. But that's why.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt. That's one of the things I mean when I say pace yourself.
Right.
Going into the new year, make a plan, write it down. And, just pace yourself. I mean, if you're 50 pounds overweight, you're not going to lose 50 pounds in a week. It's going to take time,
Kerry, something else very important for our listeners to keep in mind. Big deadline coming up this Friday, New Year's Eve, the 31st. The IRS requires that minimum deductions have to be done by this Friday. If not, there's a huge penalty of 50%.
Yeah, you're talking about the required minimum distributions. Thanks.
Right.
That's a great point. John Harper, who also board member with Helping Seniors, has been with Joe again. You got Joe started in radio, working with Joe back in Brevard Alzheimer's and all the way through Helping Seniors. But that's a very good point, John Harper. And I guess one of the things I remember early this month when Bill Johnson was our guest. He's always on with us the first Wednesday of each month. And he was reminding us at that point of the same thing, saying, look, you're going to have to take this money out. Go ahead, earmark some of that so you can sit down with that elder law attorney, make sure all your paperwork is jam up, jelly tight, and then you can also, if you want to, it's a great time to make that year-end contribution to Helping Seniors. Hey, we are the Florida nonprofit. The only way we can do what we do is if you help us, and that's one of the reasons why, as an aside, we're in the middle of our annual fund drive. So you may be getting a letter from us. You'll probably see it on social media. And you'll probably also maybe get an e-blast from us about it. But we need your help, and everything helps. A small donation, big donation, everything makes it more easy for us to serve the literally 50% of Brevard County who is over the age of 50. And if you use AARP definitions, they say you are a senior. So as we keep thinking about this get your ducks in a row thing, there's a comment that I love to, it's a quote actually from Troy Denault. He's one of these guys that helps people find the right place to live, in terms of seeking living arrangements if you're looking into assisted living or things like that. But he said this, he said, nobody wakes up on a random Saturday morning and says, hey, let's go look at assisted living facilities. It just doesn't happen. It's not what you do. You think about, oh, I want to go get this. I want to fix up the house. You think of everything, but maybe not the things we need to. And so the whole idea of get your ducks in a row is with the idea that we're trying to give you a easy stick your toe in the water kind of way to start thinking about this, and I had another friend of mine who used to say, well, you start talking about some of this stuff and you see the eyes glaze over, people disconnect, they don't want to talk about it. All we want to do is get the conversation started, because it's like the hurricane, whether you want it to be here or not, we don't have that much say in the matter. It's going to do what it does. And so the best defense is good preparation, I would think. So, Nancy, with your background, you've seen people age well, and you've seen people also have lots of difficulties. And I guess for you, probably watching the whole the thought about an aging plan makes even more sense to you than it would maybe to a non-medical person.
Oh, absolutely. And it absolutely helps that I've been through it. Also, some of the calls, I want to just put the reality out there. Elderly people living in an apartment or a rental home, and rents have gone up and up and up, and literally have taken calls from 80-year-old senior citizens that are sleeping in their car.
Oh, no.
In the parking lot of Walmart because they had to move out of their apartment because their rent went from $600 to $900 to $1,200 to $1,600. No 80-year-old should be living in their car.
No.
But this is reality, and it's something that people need to think about. And it's also, if you're very fortunate, it's something that you need to think about why to donate to us.
Yeah. So we'll be back with the second half of Helping Seniors and our guest, Nancy Deardorff, our operations director, and also Dr. Kevin Kilday with Holistic Health Center. More coming up on the second half of Helping Seniors Radio.
And our time coming up on 12:33 on this Wednesday afternoon. You're listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard, heard every Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 o'clock. As we get back to the show, let's reintroduce the executive director and the host of our show every week, Kerry Fink.
Thank you, John Harper, and welcome back to the second half of Helping Seniors Radio Show. Every Wednesday, 12 noon, we gather around the radio right here at 90.3 FM, WEJF. And so this is our chance to talk about all things that are going to be beneficial for you as we go into 2022. And so what we spent the first half of the show talking about, we're going to talk just a little bit more about it, keep going on this line, is that we've designated our theme, our mission for year 2022 at Helping Seniors of Brevard is to help you put together an aging plan. And an aging plan, as we talked about throughout the first half of the show, is a tool that helps guide you in case you run into an emergency, much like a hurricane plan would guide you in case the hurricane actually arrives here. And, even when they give you those forecasts, they first have a warning, a watch, right? They say you could be in the path of the storm, and, you have 3-4 days to prepare, and they're trying to help you get ready in case it comes our way. And of course, the hope is maybe it steers and it goes back out to sea or something like that and doesn't actually come here. Then they move it to a warning, which means within the next 24 hours, you are going to get wet, whether you want to or not. And that's kind of what we're talking about with the aging plan. Much like we come up with a plan for how we're going to react to that, we need a plan for how we're going to react to aging. And we were talking during the break, our guests are Nancy Deardorff, who's our operations director for the Helping Seniors organization. Her background, 33 years as a registered nurse, plus running one of the area's largest and most beneficial home health care agencies, but also volunteering with Helping Seniors throughout the entire existence of Helping Seniors, and even before that, helping Joe as he was building up the Brevard Alzheimer's. And our other guest in the studio today is Dr. Kevin Kilday, who is a renowned expert on holistic health. He actually operates a college that teaches folks about natural health, in addition to running the area's holistic health center here along the Space Coast. So we're gonna get into some good topics about all that, but just to stay for a moment longer on this aging plan thing, we were talking about during the break that when people say aging plan, we all nod our heads and say that's good, but it's kind of a generic term. So one of the things we're going to try as an organization, talking about Helping Seniors of Brevard over the next year, is to help you actually come up with kind of like a checklist. So much like a pilot when they get behind the controls of that airplane, even though they're licensed to fly, they know what they're doing, they've probably done this for years, they still have a co-pilot in the next seat going, did you check the landing gear? Did you check the flaps? Did you do? And the point is, because you want to make sure that even though you should know these things, that you've actually taken the step. And so the little roll call of, flaps, check, you have to go through that. And that's part of it. So our goal, Nancy Deardorff, as we get into this, is to help folks literally come up with kind of a step-by-step playbook. So by the time we get to December of 2022, everybody will have like their little aging plan. Maybe it's a 3-ring binder. Maybe it's a notebook you keep for yourself. Maybe it's files you put together on your computer. But the key is going to be the information.
Absolutely. And I think the key is not just a notebook, not just your list of what you need to think about, which is important. Let me not downplay the importance of a list, because there's things people don't think of. How do you know what you don't know?
Right.
And that's part of the reason why I bring up these issues on the radio. But what's more important is to take action. Now, there's certain action you can't take ahead of time, but for those things where you can act now, to secure certain portions of your aging plan, it's important for people to take action now. And referencing back to what you said, Dr. Kilday, take it one step at a time, because it can be overwhelming. If you think about your whole life and you think about something happening, whether it's tragic or circumstantial or a storm that happened not that long ago in Kentucky and other states.
Right.
Do you have homeowners insurance? If you don't and your house is blown down, you have no place to live. It's important, and I want to bring up every opportunity that I have on the radio, in newsletters. I want to bring up different topics for people to add to their checklist. To their list. All right, what about this? What about that? I don't want people to panic. I also don't want people to feel like they have to tackle this all at once. I mean, there's an old adage, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time.
Right?
Yeah. So it's very important people don't panic, that are listening that go, oh, I got to solve all this right now. No, you don't. But start to make your list of things to think about. What could go wrong that we pray doesn't go wrong for you? And if it does go wrong, what is your contingency plan?
Yeah, very, very well said, because, that's really what it amounts to. When we talk about getting your ducks in a row, you get a feeling nobody likes this, okay? Nobody wants to think that the hurricane is going to hit here, but you have a whole level of peace about it when you know you've gotten all your preparations made. Then if you're one of those people lining up at the home supply store, hoping there's a sheet of plywood left or a case of bottled water left on a store shelf, you have a whole level of comfort, even knowing that the storm is coming, because you've got a plan to ride out the storm safely. And that's what we're talking about. So you're going to be hearing a lot about this. And the place it's going to really hit first is you're going to look for your January 2022 edition of Senior Scene magazine. It will come out on the 1st. You'll be able to read it on the Helping Seniors website at helpingseniors.brevard.org. You're going to be able to read it on the Senior Scene magazine website, which is seniorscenemag.com. And then you can pick up your copy at 500 locations around Brevard County, because John Frederickson really does a good job of getting those magazines out there. But you're going to want to look for that center section. It's 12 pages in there, and it's called Get Your Ducks in a Row, and you'll see the cute little duckies on the cover, and that will be your clue. And as we go through the year, just stay close to Helping Seniors, because we're going to bring you some of the best expert help. You don't pay for any of this, right? Because this is what all these people do back in the community. Their intent, it's almost counterintuitive, right? Why would the elder law attorney tell you, come in, let's help you do paperwork for a few $100s? Whereas if they kind of just shunned that and you had to show up in an emergency and they had to do a $10,000 guardianship, one is probably a better business for them, but out of compassion, they would rather see you plan ahead. And I can tell you this from having talked to everybody who looks after seniors ethically. They would rather be your partner in helping you succeed than take advantage of you, as it were, if the rules require, some level of, I don't care if it's your doctor, it's your home health folks, they want to see you do well. And so with that, look for your edition of the Helping Seniors newsletter, the January edition. Get Your Ducks in a Row. It's going to be our ongoing theme of 2022. So with that, let's kind of flip a page. We're going to talk with Dr. Kevin Kilday. This should be kind of an optimistic, uplifting kind of session, because just like we're talking about your aging plan, we also want to take care of you. And that's what you're talking about when it comes down to some tips for 2022 and holistic health.
Exactly. Holistic means whole. It's taken from the word whole, meaning whole person, which is inclusive of the mind, the body, and the spirit, because they're all connected. If you're suffering from depression or anxiety a little bit, you're going to be off. It may start affecting you physically also. With some symptoms, and spiritually, it's your relationship with. In my case, I call God. You might call it something else, higher power, whatever it may be. But it's your relationship with your higher power. These are all very, very important as a person, as being a whole person. And the article I wrote for the January issue of Senior Scene actually is about mind, body, and the spirit, and some tips of how to improve on those three areas of your life.
And as we're talking about this, Nancy, you've seen people as thinking about your background of a registered nurse and managing care for people. You've seen people who have worked hard to take care of themselves, and then you've seen people who've actually almost kind of hurt themselves.
Oh, absolutely, all the time. I've seen 90-year-olds that look like they're 60. I've seen 55-year-olds that look like they're 85-year-olds. And a lot of it has to do, well, it's exactly what you say, Dr. Kilday. It's mind, body, and spirit. I've seen people overcome physical ailments through their mental capacity, emotions, spirituality. I've seen people overcome so much just by the power of belief. Again, whether it's God, whether it's their higher power. And I'm a big believer. Some may take issue with this, but I'm a big believer that we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Exactly.
And I've seen over and over again. In fact, I used to work at Wusthof Hospital way back when it was still Wusthof in Rockledge, my first year of nursing out, and I worked on the oncology unit. And I have to tell you, I witnessed a patient riddled with cancer get well. And there was even the oncologist said there is absolutely no explanation for how this person got through the cancer and was cancer-free. Right. So absolutely, there's no question in my mind that there is a mind-body-spirit connection, for sure.
Exactly. And, 2021 has been a tough year for everybody, especially, dealing with with COVID. It's probably the number one issue on everybody's mind, and it has affected, our medical system, especially with mental health. All right. I'm going to emphasize a little bit on that because we have anxiety conditions and depression conditions have skyrocketed, as well as addiction issues have all skyrocketed. It's unfortunate that we have most people have forgotten about the drug epidemic that we had before COVID, and now it's worse. Right. In 2017 or 18, there was about 75,000 people who died of overdoses. In 2021, it's over 100,000.
Oh my goodness!
Right, and so these are some issues that have got to be addressed, and it's a lot about the uncertainty of the future. With COVID, I'm sure that has played a big part in a lot of people's minds. It's just when is this pandemic going to end, and when are they going to stop pushing vaccines and pushing this and pushing that and the economy and this and that and this and that. It's a lot to deal with, but again, I believe in just taking, as I said before, just take it one thing at a time, one step at a time. I mean, that's actually big in the addictions field, so someone recovering from addictions, or really for anything. The 12 steps of recovery not only addresses addictions, but it addresses, overweight, and there's other areas too that the 12 steps of recovery are good for. And but just taking just one thing at a time. In the article, I talk about anxiety and depression. If it's gotten out of hand, seek professional help. Don't try to self-medicate. Don't try to do it on your own. If you're having anxiety attacks where you're ending up in the ER and things like that, you need to follow up and get some professional help and see a doctor who specializes in that. But there's also a holistic doctor, like myself, because, rather than a medical doctor giving you tranquilizers and things like that, there are natural herbs and things like that also that help with anxiety. And there's also that helps with, also with depression and even, dealing with addictions. Just quitting drugs is not, or alcohol is just not the total answer. In the case of addictions, you really got to rebuild the body, the mind, and the spirit. So, and I've also, if you're in, and also another thing that's been gotten out of hand in because of COVID, is actually abuse issues. If anybody out there is in a relationship where they're being abused, either get out of that relationship or call the authorities. There's no other way around it.
Everything that you're talking about, Dr. Kevin Kilday with Holistic Health Center, it's interesting because I think as you were talking about COVID, one of the problems for all of us nobody's ever been through this one before. It was 30 days to stop the spread. That was almost 2 years ago.
Right,
and every time we think or feel like we may have rounded a corner and things are going to go back to what we would remember as normal, then there's another variant or there's some and for those of us that try to take it seriously, it's also difficult, right? Because the guidance keeps changing. We thought we're fully vaccinated. Now they tell us we should maybe get a booster. And then, there's all this discussion about masking and not masking and people getting fist fights about who's wearing a mask and who's not. And we're just all at kind of a tense edge about all of it. And I was thinking, as you're talking about looking into 2022, the best thing that both you and Nancy Deardorff have been talking about is that this kind of, the answer really sort of starts with you individually taking care of yourself, whether you're a caregiver, whether you're looking after yourself, whether you're looking after loved ones at home. The answer is you do have to take care of yourself to some extent.
Exactly, and that's to my next part of the article was about taking care of the body. I mean, of course, this time of year, a lot of people are thinking about I don't call it diet. I just call it eating healthier. If you have to lose weight, then find a healthy eating plan, and most of all, try to stick to it. Without the anxiety. Just take it one step at a time. Just start changing your eating habits a little bit at a time. Another thing that's most important with the body is getting ample rest. All right. We just went through the holiday season. It's very tough on a lot of people. Now it's just time to get back to normal and start sleeping, 7-8 hours a night. Sleeping is very important. Your body heals as you're sleeping, so it's very important to get that restful 7-8 hours of sleep a night. Turn off the TV, turn off the computer. Those all help. Find an exercise. Find a fun exercise, something that you enjoy. It could be as easy as just walking, just getting out on a sunny day, enjoying this beautiful sunshine, and when the rest of the country is blanketed in snow, and we have the sun out, and it's 80 degrees. Beautiful.
That's why we're here in Florida.
And of course, do not smoke. If you have a drug problem, take care of it. Don't do drugs, and drinking. Just limit yourself, to 1 or 2 drinks a day. And then spiritually, very important. It's very important in my life. Being saved as a believer and as a Christian, it really turned my life around, many years ago. But I also address some other things too. You just spend some time in nature. It's all, as far as I'm concerned, it's all God's work. It's all God's beautiful world. Meditate. Figure out how to help people and improve the world and people around you. And also, if you believe in a higher power, my go-to book is the Bible. You read the Bible, as much as you can. Pray. Spend time, quality time with your family. I can't express that more. Stay away from working the 60, 70, 80, 100 hours a week. I had one article where I said, you don't want to look at your spouse in your senior years and say, hey, how did my children do when they were growing up? Because you weren't around, because you were working 100 hours a week. You don't want to be that person. To try to limit your, it's nice today in some situations where you're working at home, you got the best of both worlds. But keep that in mind. Spend quality time with family and good friends. It all helps with mental attitude and your physical attitude and your spiritual attitude.
Yeah, we're talking with Dr. Kevin Kilday of Holistic Health Center. It's interesting, when you started the conversation, you were talking about holistic comes from the word whole, so you think WHOLE, but if you're going to look for Dr. Kevin's website, you actually it's spelled HOL.
Yeah, that's the proper spelling of the word holistic.
HolisticHealthCenter.us. And if somebody, you really specialize in sitting down one-on-one with folks, if people want to get in touch with you, maybe make an appointment or at least have an initial conversation, how do they do that?
Yeah, my phone number is 321-549-0711, 321-549-0711. Either I answer the phone or you will get a voicemail. If you get the voicemail, I return the call within 24 hours.
Good.
Personally.
Well, good to know. Dr. Kevin Kilday with HolisticHealthCenter.us and Nancy Deardorff with your background. So what are you thinking about some of what you're hearing about all of this?
Oh, I'm loving it all. And I love what you do for a living, Dr. Kilday.
Well, thank you.
I definitely believe in mind, body, spirit. That is what makes us whole. And
Yes.
if one piece is missing, we're not whole. And if I could take one moment, Kerry, to let people out there that are listening know that we need your help. We're always taking donations,
Yes.
whether it's a large sponsorship, whether it's a medium amount of money or a small amount of money. There might be people out there that are willing to give, but they think, oh, what I can give won't make that much of a difference. Every dollar that is donated to helping seniors makes a difference. Please help us as we move forward into 2022. Please help us by donating any amount. Help us help seniors of Brevard. Your donations help people prevent homelessness, get them out of a homeless situation, help them pay their bills, and help connect seniors to resources in the community so that seniors can live a quality life that they deserve.
Beautifully said. Nancy Deardorff, our operations director for Helping Seniors. And if you want to get involved and make a year-end contribution, there's several ways you could do that. You could give the Senior Information Helpline a call at 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770, and we can either help by taking a donation right over the phone, or if you prefer to mail a check in, we'll get you the address so that you can do that. Another great way to do that also, you can just go directly online, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org/donate, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org/donate, and you can safely and securely make your year-end donation to the annual fund drive for Helping Seniors. And let me tell you, people assume that nonprofits get all this government help or things like that. Nothing could be farther from the truth. The only way Helping Seniors is able to go into its 11th year of service to this community here in Brevard County is because of you. You help us keep this thing going. So with that kind of in mind, I want to thank Dr. Kevin Kilday with Holistic Health Center and also Nancy Deardorff, our operations director from Helping Seniors. And for you, too, we want to thank you for being with us on this last show of 2021 and look forward to seeing you again next week in 2022. On behalf of Joe Steckler, the entire Helping Seniors team, we'll see you then.
Happy New Year, everyone.